Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of IIP Discussions. Today, inshallah, we will be going through an article written by the famous Orientalist Bernard Lewis. The article is called The Roots of Muslim Rage. And in this article, he makes various claims about Islam and frankly some major historical blunders. And we're going to be going through these and refuting these in order. Now, before we do go into the article itself, I do want to clarify that the article, The Roots of Muslim Rage, it was written in 1990. However, the claims that he makes in those articles are all still very valid today. A lot of these claims are still made by Orientalists and even people who are not educated at all. They will make these claims. So let's go through some of these claims that he has made. So he says in the subheading, The Rise of the House of Unbelief, that basically from the dawn of Islam, the world and all mankind were divided into two: the House of Islam and the House of Unbelief, or the House of War. He says that the duty of God's soldiers, which is the House of Islam, is to dispatch God's enemies as quickly as possible to the place where God will chastise them. Basically, he's saying that Muslims always saw the world as divided into two, Muslims and non-Muslims, and the Muslims had to kill all the non-Muslims, send them to God, who will judge them. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about these people in the Quran? He says in Surah Mumtahina, chapter 60, verse 8, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. He says, Allah does not forbid you from dealing kindly and fairly with those who have neither fought nor driven you out of your homes. Surely Allah loves those who are fair. So clearly we can see here that Muslims don't see the world in this way that Bernard Lewis is saying, where there's the Muslims and then there's the non-Muslims, and the non-Muslims need to be killed and sent to God. Clearly we don't see it like that. He has misunderstood Islam here. Now let's apply some historical examples to this. Let's look at Umar radiallahu anhu, who a man, regarding him, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if there was to be a prophet after me, it would be Umar. That Umar does not walk down a path except shaitan sees him and he takes another path. This is who Umar was. Now what Umar radiallahu anhu did when he took Jerusalem, this is called the Pact of Umar radiallahu anhu. When he took Jerusalem, he actually did not kill any Christians. He allowed them to worship in peace. And he, not just Christians, but Jews, he brought Jews back to Jerusalem and allowed them to worship peacefully. Something the Christians did not do at all. They did not allow Jews to worship peacefully. But Umar radiallahu anhu, he allowed them all to come back to worship peacefully, to have their right to practice their religion freely. You know, why didn't Umar radiallahu anhu kill them? If this is how Muslims saw the world from the dawn of Islam, if this is how Muslims saw the world, why did Umar radiallahu anhu not kill the Christians and Jews when he took Jerusalem? Because Jerusalem is a holy land to Islam as well. So he could have killed them and kept it just for Muslims. But he extended toleration towards the Muslims and the non-Muslims. So we can clearly see that from the dawn of Islam, Islam wasn't divided in the way between Muslims and non-Muslims who needed to be killed and dispatched to God for judgment. So moving on, what he says next is that in the Muslim world, all other citizens apart from Muslims are second-class citizens. Now this isn't word for word, I'm not reading here word for word, but this is the point he was getting at. Now this is another huge historical blunder, because what he's trying to say, and this narrative that a lot of Orientalists push forward, is that non-Muslims were relegated down to second-class citizens, and like there was discrimination and things like that. It is frankly a stupid argument and a misunderstanding of history. For example, the concept of jizya. This is something that they always love to put forward, the jizya. Now, under the rightly guided Khilafah, the jizya was less than the zakat. Under Umar radiallahu anhu, it was 1 gold coin, which is less than zakat, because zakat is 2.5% of your wealth, and most likely you are going to be paying more than 1 gold coin. So frankly, I don't understand what he's trying to say. Yes, there were times when the jizya was quite high, but this wasn't done due to religion. This was not done due to religion. This was because of, maybe selfish interest or other interests, but it was not done because of religion. And you have to understand what the non-Muslims were getting in return for this jizya: freedom to practice their religion. They were protected by their armies. They were, had access to so many things. And the fact that Umar radiallahu anhu, his benefits that he created, the welfare state that he created, unemployment benefits, child benefits, all these things, were they exclusive to Muslims? No. He extended it towards non-Muslims, to everyone in his empire. So clearly this idea that the non-Muslims were treated as second-class citizens is completely false, because they also had rights and could be argued to be equal rights to Muslims as well. So these are some of the claims that Bernard Lewis makes in his article, The Roots of Muslim Rage. And I will inshallah make a part 2 on the claims he makes on the need for separation of religion and state, and why the Muslims lagged behind because they could not separate religion and state. And so I will go through those, and we'll go through some points on how to refute that, and why that frankly is also a weak argument. But these are some of the claims he makes, some of the Orientalists make, and some even further uneducated people make. And these are some simple evidences we can use to refute them. So I do hope you found the video beneficial, and do stay tuned for a part 2. There will also be a link in the description to the article, and also a small video that will explain the concept of the dhimmi, which is basically non-Muslims living in Muslim states. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.